Hi, Mark here from the Tangibound Podcast Network and host of the flagship show, the Tangibound Podcast. Did you know that we over at Tangibound are always looking for amazing podcasts to promote? And did you also know that we are also proud nerds and geeks of everything from movies, music, gaming, TV shows, and comic books to wrestling, MMA, soccer, and football? Whatever you can nerd or geek out about, we've got it. And if you're interested, we can help you find it. And if you're a show looking for a place to call home, we've got you covered. Side effects may include upset stomach, dizziness, tumors, shakes, and in some rare cases, death from excessive laughter. Though to be fair, it's only sometimes. Other side effects may include diarrhea, gallstones, heart palpitations, and strong desire for cookies on the dark side. Talk to your doctor and visit TangiboundNetwork.com and see if Tangibound Network is right for you.
We're not doctors, therapists, trained professionals of any kind, so if you feel you do need help, please reach out and get the help you need. We have a whole list of things on our files page over on Facebook at facebook.com/crazylifepodcast, and or just search on the internet for the suicide prevention hotline number, or go to NAMI.org or whatever resource you can find. But just please reach out for help if you need it. If you feel as though you're going to harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. And try not to be alone. Also, if you feel that way and you realize that you're writing a note or making plans of how you would do, like harm yourself or others, definitely reach out. That's a huge red flag. And lastly, please do not replace the idea of therapy with listening to this show. Again, if you need help, please reach out and get the help that you need, or contact us. We can try to help you find the help that you need.
Life sucks to the last drop. Are you gonna blow your head off? Take good aim and don't forget to duck. Life sucks every Monday and all the way to Sunday. Wouldn't have it any other way. I don't care how you're doing, what's up or how's it hanging. I'd like to buy this world one last drink. Life sucks all of the time, so stick it up your sunshine, and then you'll see the clouds every day. Then you'll see the clouds every day. Then you'll see the clouds every day.
Welcome to The Crazy Life, everybody. My name is Jen. I am your hostess for the evening. And with me always, we have Brian and Henno. Hi, guys. How are you doing?
Hola.
Hey. You know what's really funny is I was gonna lead in with hola, so I was like, oh no,
really?
Henno stole my open. Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's got to speak faster,
Stole
I guess.
Thunder.
Yep. That's all
See,
right.
it doesn't pay to go second. You got to go first.
No.
You jump right in there.
Yeah.
You got to just jump in.
Yep. That's all right.
Well, I will mix things up, and I will actually start this week. Kind of give you guys a break. But, so Jen, how was your week?
I like this new format. It's nice.
It's the more Jen.
An observational format.
Yeah. Ooh. Here's what we'll do, Henno. We'll just let Jen talk this whole time. Then you and I will record a track commentating on what she said.
Oh, jeez.
And then we'll launch that. That'll be our new podcast.
Half an hour, and then we send her to bed, and then we podcast.
Yes.
Brilliant. I love this idea.
I don't think I'll be on the winning end of the stick.
Good shtick.
Yeah, exactly. I know I won't be. No. So my week's been okay. I'm settling into the new norm. I'm really feeling pretty normal about everything. I've been avoiding the news and avoiding a lot of that, a lot of social media and stuff. So I'm kind of in my own little bubble, in a lot of ways, which is good and bad, you know, because I want to be aware of everything going on, of course, as new things progress and come up. But for the most part, I'm kind of in my own little world and doing all right. There's some family health issues going on and stuff. Nothing officially Corona related, thankfully, but unofficially, my brother's not doing so hot as far as cold-esque type symptoms. So, official tests, so we can't say for sure. But regardless, so I'm just trying to kind of deal with a lot of, there's nothing I can do right now. So all I can do is just be ever hopeful and vigilant about making sure that I stay healthy and just get to whoever I need to get to when things come up, so that I'm available, ready, and willing, and able, and just waiting for the go, so that I could actually go. So we'll see how all that works out. My appointment with my psychiatrist. So we had a good chat. I found out they medical marijuana. So no pot card for me.
Yeah.
So, which is fine, because it's something that I want to explore, but it's not something that is mandatory for me. Because, he did offer to help me find somebody else if I really wanted to go down that path. He couldn't continue to treat me.
Yeah.
But, he could help me find somebody else. But I said, no, that's not necessary. I'm good with that.
I'm just picturing him out on the street corner. Psst. Hey, you holding?
Interested. His reasoning is, one, it's THC for mental health. THC does not have the same properties that is to help. CBD does. So, but I'm trying to think how he worded it. So THC doesn't have the properties necessary to help with mental health. CBD does. But the testing and standardization done on CBD right now, for him to be able to legitimately prescribe CBD as a usage.
Right.
Is it once they get more testing and more standardization across dosages and things like that, ability on the horizon. Yeah. But he doesn't believe in the whole medical marijuana aspect of it, because adding the THC for mental health, in his opinion, that he's been from science. So I said, okay, I get that.
Now, he knows we live in a time where science doesn't matter anymore, right?
I know. But he's still one of those old-fashioned fuddy-duddies that believes in science.
Yeah, my primary care doctor will be the same way, for sure. I don't know about my... He doesn't even want to prescribe aspirin until he's 100% sure you need it, kind of a thing. So, I can't imagine him being very liberal on the weed front, Yeah.
And I kind of approached it. And in fact, how I did approach it to him, I'm like, so how do you feel about medical marijuana? And he's like, there's nothing medical about marijuana.
So this is a word that we're going to hear a lot in the near future. It doesn't get used very much, but we will, and it's the term efficacy. And efficacy is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's the performance of a drug under ideal and controlled circumstances, meaning they intend a result and they get it. They get that result a certain amount of times, and then there's also the part, and then there's effectiveness, which is what happens under real world conditions. Right. But what, and we're going to hear this a lot with what's going on.
Yeah.
With COVID-19 is the efficacy is about actually knowing that these are the symptoms. Do this to those symptoms. Right now, there's people are talking about is it a therapy, but until you can show that efficacy, and that's where doctors go to with, and that's the whole thing with CBD is it's just not predictable at this point,
right?
Yeah,
and THC definitely isn't. Right. Variety of response for it.
Yeah.
And so from a physician's standpoint, they're looking at efficacy. He's basically effective, but that's controllable yet.
Yeah,
and he's there's not enough regulations on it, so you can't control what you're getting.
Yeah.
He's like, I could tell you to go, to a certain spot to order this, something or other, the CBD.
Milligrams of this, yeah.
Yeah, but he's like, but I can't guarantee that you're getting that number of milligrams of specifically CBD.
And there's been a whole lot of investigative journalism on it, kind of proving that a lot of the things are all over the place with especially CBD, because it's been such act over the last couple years. So you're actually getting, and again, there's no regulation because the FDA doesn't get involved because it's not a medicine, it's a supplement, so it's, and I can understand a doctor involved in it,
But we did have a good talk. So I'm trying something different, and he asked me why, which is always a good answer, good question.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, if everything's been going good with what you're on right now, why would you want to switch it up?
Great question.
I said that I've been on for years and years and years, and yes, it's doing well by me. He's like, but there's always room for better. And I know there's always making different strides and different things and new medicine coming out. I wonder if something even better on. And so we had a great conversation around that, what my term better means for me.
Yeah,
what am I missing?
Yeah.
And the meds that I'm on, and I've talked about it before, I take one to get rid of highs and one to get rid of lows. And I make jokes about being in a perpetual state of meth. And, it would be nice to have more range. I would appreciate that. I'm still having trouble with the tears, and new medicine that would attack that aspect of things, because the stuff that I'm on right now handles the moods, but the tears are actually a physical response, not necessarily attached to the moods. Because I cry, I have any surge of emotion, a surge of emotion, any emotion.
Yeah.
So it could be anything from happy, sad, sneeze funny, and I'll cry. And just all of these, and since it's a physical response, it requires a medicine that's going to affect that part of the brain. So it's a whole difference of medicines or section of medicine. I'm so, okay. So he gave me something new to add to the mix, because he put me on Prozac before, but Prozac knocked me that was too flatline. I couldn't handle that. Okay. So I didn't have enough range of anything going on. So I didn't take that. And he's like, okay, that's fine. So yeah, Zoloft is the one he added.
That's a classic.
So I'm on Wellbutrin, Abilify, and Zoloft now.
Zoloft goes back to the early 90s.
My doctor's old school. He's tried and true. He goes for the basics.
Well,
again,
I was just going to say, he's going for what works for people.
He is, because I even mentioned who I've been seeing, and I told him, I know you're going to hate this, and I hate even saying this, but I saw the commercial, and he just laughed. And I'm like, I know, it's just marketing. But I said, I did see that there is Vraylar that's on the market that talks about doing high in between. And we started talking about it and stuff. And he said, if I want to try it, I can try it. Get rid of the Abilify, add the Vraylar, and see what happens. He's like, but and he's very practical too. He's like, the insurance aspect of it's going to be a pain in the butt right now because of everything, the way it's all messed up the way it is right now. So it would require getting pre-authorizations. Mm-hmm. And he's like, until the country is opened back up, he's like, you're better off just making do with the medicine that you're on now that's working for you. And in a couple months, we can revisit that. And he's like, we can try, playing around with it and seeing if that works for you at a later point. He's like, I'm just telling you this because I'm not going to do it for you. It's just, I want to make sure that you get this. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like I said, he's a pretty cool guy. He's pretty reasonable, and he kind of listens to what I have to say and stuff. The other thing he mentioned is he's like, have you ever thought about going to a cognitive behavioral therapist? Yeah. I said, yeah. And he's like, I think you would really benefit from that. And he didn't really have recommendation of a specific person to go to. Mm-hmm. But he did say that there's a place up nearby where I'm at that does it, that he's heard good things about. So, but he's like, I think you would really benefit from cognitive behavioral therapy. And that's really familiar because we talk about that a lot on the podcast.
Yeah, aspects of it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So,
well, and
I'm still not 100%.
Really quick, I just want to mention that, like, for anyone who doesn't know, CBT, or like when you go to therapists, some of them do things differently. Some are more talk-based, some are CBT exercises, some are more, like, give you a lot of homework, some don't, so this is where we've talked before. Sometimes the first therapist you go to may know what you need or whatever. So, it is something you can definitely ask if you're going to go to a therapist. You can ask them what their style is, that kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. Like this, if you're looking for one that specializes in CBT, then you want to make sure you find one because there's some therapists out there who don't, I don't want to say don't believe in it, but they don't much, and there's others who are like full on in it. So, you want to get somebody who buys in basically. But, so don't be afraid to ask, any therapist you're going to, if there's something, like if you're really looking for a certain thing, make sure they do that. Or if not, maybe they can recommend somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he did mention, he's like, I would highly recommend a psychologist, though, for you. He's like, versus just a regular therapist. Mm-hmm. He's like, it's one that specifically has their psychology. He's like, I would recommend going that direction. Mm-hmm. I said, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, I feel good about the whole thing. The whole appointment went really well, and it's always interesting talking about I don't see him very often,
right?
So talking about the different things, it just is. Once I get past the uncomfortableness of the personal, how talking so in depth and so personally with someone you barely know. As I do on the podcast every week, but that put aside, yeah, but I was very nervous, really well, and I got information from it. So other than that, I guess that was my big thing for the week. So anybody else who wants to go next?
Well, I too did telemed this week with my therapist, actually. Which was a little weird because I'm used to doing it face to face. And we just did it over the phone, not through any, Zoom or Skype or anything. And, it was good. I needed it, obviously with losing, with T dying and stuff. I about that for a little bit. And, she was very, of course, asking me how I'm doing with, everything going on in the world right now. And, like I've told other people, I'm like, because I have tools built for this. Like, mm-hmm. The last, 5-6 years of my life, I've been going to therapy, in talking with a therapist about the whole fact that my brain goes, don't go outside, it's dangerous out there. So they're like, well, here's tools to help you with those situations, you know? So like right now I've got a full utility belt essentially, you know, and, you know, I told her, I said, I've actually dealt with it really, you know, I said, you know, the best part for me has been the, you know, going easier on myself if I don't get a full list of things for a day. You know, I've been a lot kinder to myself when it comes to that. And I think a lot of it's because you look around and you see that most other people aren't doing a whole lot either. So like right now I feel normal, you know, versus normally when people are going to work or doing this and this all day. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, I played a video game, you know, it makes you feel like you're, you know, so I told her, I said, looking at it, how this situation has really kind of leveled the playing field for a lot of us. You know, to where other people
equalizer.
Yeah, you know, other people are dealing with on a normal basis and different things. So, you know, I've had a lot of conversations with people trying to help explain, so in hopes of, you know, that forward of like, hey, you know, when you talk about how nice it must be to not have a job, it's not as nice as you thought it was, isn't it? So, you know, just trying not to be, you know, like beating anyone over the head with it, but it is there is definitely an opportunity for teachable moments here, and the opportunity to, you know, feel empathy for others, whether it's from the mental health angle or from the not knowing where your next paycheck is going to come from situation. You know, there's a couple areas of, you know, where we need more empathy that, you know, this is a great time to learn what it's like to be in those situations. But yeah, you know, but that went really well. I felt pretty good after that was over. And yeah, you know, really haven't done anything this week because, you know, again, there's not really so, you know, I've, you know, watched some TV and listened to podcasts and different stuff to try to, you know, just stay entertained and not let my brain really focus on this. And, you know, over the last couple of days, I've been watching too much of the news. I got to dial it back because all it does is make me angry. And I just don't need it, you know? So, I got to get better about that. But, yeah, I don't really know. I don't really know what a win for the week would be because it really hasn't been tested anything, you know, like, you know, like, my temper or depression or anxiety. Like there's nothing, there's really not a lot of pressure other than the whole, you know, pandemic. And we've been trying to stay as safe as possible. So that's about really all a person can do here. So yeah, I guess, I'll just go ahead and turn over to Heno here because I can't think of anything else. I really haven't done anything. I really don't have much.
I finally feel more routine right now, which has been great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Work has been a little more, like last week was the first time with new schedule and everything being different. So that was a little odd. So this week it kind of kicked in a little bit more. And I did have a little bit of kind of FOMO because the last few weeks I had a lot more free time. So I was able to be a lot more engaged on like social media and that kind of stuff. And then now I'm at work and I'm missing engaged because it's been kind of fun, but that finally dropped off this week where I'm actually, you know, I want to work and a couple projects that are going on that are good. And then one of my coworkers showed up back today. Evidently being home with wife and 2 kids was not as charming as he thought it was going to be.
Wow. I mean, how's that make you feel as a spouse when your significant other? I'd rather take my chances with the Rona.
Well, I've met her. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Fair.
He's doing it.
Yeah, right.
He loves his children.
Sure.
Nice.
But it was great to see him, though. I was like, awesome, man. But he literally has the paperwork to do another 10 weeks.
Oh.
And he decided to come in.
Wow.
So, yeah.
All right.
Good deal.
Yeah, right. Sure.
And let's see what else happened. Oh, I got weekend was a little bit of a, I wouldn't say a struggle, but it was it was the first challenge with doing things on a remote basis, and that was with setting up my bandmate to record on his own. And he's been around recording software, but not necessarily equipment. And it was I knew it was going to be a challenge. It was going to be a struggle. And then there's just a part of it where it's like there's very subjective things where it's just my experience and knowledge as a producer. I'm trying to convey it to him. And so we had a few technical issues. The best was when I needed him to adjust something, and I said, I started describing something. He says, can we just start at the top of the rack? Because I'm not looking at it. He's looking at it. He's like, okay, the first thing's a power supply. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you have no idea what's in there, do you? He's like, the next thing looks like something digital with a lot of dials on it. I'm like, okay. He's like, then the next thing's got a lot of cords poking into it. I'm like, okay, what we're looking for is the thing below that.
Yeah,
it was kind of fun.
Right.
But in illustration, what I really admired, I don't have an issue starting over and doing something again. It's just I've accepted that. Sometimes you just kind of go, well, you know what? I just put 5 hours into that, but I'm going to have to redo it again.
Yeah.
And I did it to myself several times this week. You know what? That's going to be my win for the week is I was working on a song where there was some difficult things going on with some of the tracks, and I needed to get kind of creative, and some things had gotten shifted around. I needed to move things. And so I did it, and then it turns out what I did wasn't going to work. And I sat there and I went, let's start over again.
Oh yeah.
And what I did is I got up and I went and laid down for a while, and I pulled out my iPad and I played some video games, and I just stepped away from it.
Yeah, that's probably the right move, because otherwise when you step back into it, there's that chance for resentment, anger, all that kind of stuff to come bubbling out. Yeah.
And so then I sat back down again and I started over. And so I got it all, I did it again. This time it worked out. And so I started re-recording some parts, and all of a sudden I was like, where did those drums go? How? And a whole section had just disappeared. I didn't know why. And well, I'm going to have to go get them from somewhere else, but that means I'm going to have to start.
Jeez.
And I did the same thing. I just went and did something else.
Yeah.
Or maybe I put it off for the next day, whatever it was. But I sat back down again. I went and grabbed what I needed. I brought it in. I did it again. I did it one more time. And I never got frustrated. I never got angry. And that's a big win for me. And to stay. And so when Tom did the same thing, like he sent me some stuff and I'm like, I'm really looking for this kind of a sound or blah, blah. He's like, no problem. I'll do it again. And he did. By that, files for me to listen to, and I was like, and they were amazing. Like he nailed it. And it was brand new software he'd never used. It was fantastic. And so it was fun to be encouraging and do that. It was great. I mean, it really was. And so that was kind of really enjoying this. Is I do like teaching.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that I've always enjoyed doing, and especially when it's something that I feel comfortable. I'm not the expert in it. I'm not the best at it, but it's something I'm familiar with, and I can teach somebody else. And so and for him, it's really, I have two bandmates who are in the health field, and Tom scheduled for June. I don't know if I'll be able to play them. And I'm pretty sure Brian won't until we get the antibody test.
Yeah.
And even then, he's like, that doesn't mean that we're immune.
Right.
So I won't be out in public. He's like, because our jobs are so dependent on our being healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because now that they're starting to see that it's a month away for them, if they have to be quarantined, they run their businesses. They're the They're it. There's no substitute teacher that comes in for him.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens over the summer. I'm really feeling blessed this week. Really am. That's the way I can look at it. With everything, call my mom, talk to her. She set up with some stuff. Everything versus 2 weeks ago where there was just that anxiety, kind of that couch lock thing. It wasn't that so much that there was nothing threatening my existence, but I still had it in there. And today I like feeling positive. And one thing that Brian, you were talking about is the news stuff is I've even got that dialed down too, where I'm like, I watch this time, and then I put movies on.
Yeah.
And I do what else I need to do. The only thing now my need to improve now is I haven't worked out, like seriously I'm doing a 30-day challenge, but it's nothing significant.
Yeah.
But
listening maybe that's doing that challenge with you and they're like, yeah, okay. Like they're struggling through it and you're like, yeah, whatever.
It's terrible. Yeah. And I just like this week I'm like, okay, you need to get out and ride a bike or do something and start doing some more push-ups.
Right.
And I was just like, you haven't worked out in 2 months. Like, it's time to get off the couch.
Right. Yeah. Bikini season's coming up.
So. Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. Tuxedo season, if you will.
Yeah. So that's what I got.
Awesome. Well, something happened this week, or is happening this week, that affects, or the majority of us anyways. And that would be the stimulus coming out and stimulating the economy and helping individuals out means a little bit of in our cash flow. So for some, this may lead to something that we're going to talk about tonight called emotional spending, what it triggers and how to control, or what is it triggers. Well, kind of badly worded, but anyways, you get the gist. All right, so emotional spending. All of us can struggle when it comes to making good money choices, even those of us who have high levels of education or naturally financially savvy are these decision times. Regardless of the transactions, when you save for a pension or where to invest your money income stream or the mundane choice to buy a new pair of pants, these everyday decisions can impact your financial life. Your choice could spell the difference between a robust bank balance and a monthly money problems. Following your emotions can drive you to impulse buying. In fact, all of the advertisement, salesman spiels, the social media algorithms trying to exploit this emotional driver. So what is emotional spending? Neuroscientists explain that our emotions are the central influences of our decision-making process. The buying factors that affect our emotional purchase decisions are highly personal, such as love, sentiment, envy, pride, entertainment, and vanity. In an emotional purchase, the real need does not necessarily come into play in the first place. The emotions come from external sources like influencers that create desire to buy. Kind of going to jump around a little bit on this one here. So, things that trigger emotional spending. Pride. Well, I think we can all agree that pride is a big influencer at times. We all want to be proud of what we have, even if we know that who we are, that's more important. There's still some pride in ownership. Mm-hmm. And I think we all have been that at some point or another. Guilt. Guilt is a feeling that comes to a person wherever he violates his internal standards. So we buy things out of validation. Some people need validation stoppers, which means that they are looking for someone to validate their choices and their decisions. Buy this because it is the best thing out there. my brother, he likes to go off of other people's consumer reports and stuff like that. He likes to investigate very thoroughly so that when he makes the decision to buy something, it's kind of got that built-in validation already there that this is the best of the best type of a thing.
Yeah, it's the illusion of the informed decision.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great point, Brian.
It's what it is. I do the same thing. I'm 100% guilty of it too.
That is a great point. Is when you talk about a process or something about our personality can be an asset or a liability. That is all. Process could be an asset or a liability. Are you making an informed decision, or are you trying to validate?
Yeah, exactly.
Your decision.
Yeah,
interesting.
Well, and it's like back when I worked at video stores, I see this all the time, and it wasn't buying as much as it was renting, but it was like people will walk up and be like, "Is this any good?" And they want you to say, "Oh man, that was so good." They don't want you to go, "That's the biggest pile of garbage ever." Because then they feel like they make bad decisions. When they walk up and they think you have a level of expertise. So again, like you were saying, Henno, really what they want is confirmation, validation. They don't want you to say, "Oh no, that was terrible." Like they want you to go, "That was so good." Because you've already walked around and gone, "Ooh, this looks good. I'm getting this."
That person has debated this for a while.
Yeah.
Now they want someone to confirm their time of debate.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And if you're not careful, that can lead to the analysis paralysis situation.
Oh, it totally does. Yeah. So, you see it all the time. Yep.
Oh God, especially if you shoot them down, you're like, I don't know.
Well, because then they're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to get. I got to get something. Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
So fear is another one, which, by now you'll regret it.
Well, or
fashion
like right now is a perfect example of fear buying. We've all seen fear buying recently with toilet paper, cleaning products, all that stuff. We've seen fear buying. And again, humans by nature, when we see one person do it, we're like, "Oh, what am I missing out on? I need to be part of this." So then it alters other people's behaviors as well.
So fashion or imitation, leadership, and sadness. Some people may joke that shopping is their therapy to that statement. Buying things for yourself or for others can make us feel better and help us forget the blues, even for just a moment. But it can create bigger problems such as additional credit card debt, of course. According to Harvard University researcher Jennifer Lerner and her colleagues, sadness makes a person willing to spend more. When a person is sad, he is likely to give up something larger and with a future benefit, like more money, to have a smaller benefit right now. So there's also jealousy, belonging, habits, trend setting. There's a lot of reasons why emotional shop.
Oh, yeah.
Attraction towards the opposite sex.
Sure.
All of these are very important. So how do we control this thing? Because now we know so part of the key is figuring out what motivates you. So if you find yourself spending a lot of money, or not even a lot of money at one point, but if you take a look and you see money going out, probably should be putting for another use. Time to ask yourself is why? What is my motivation? Why am I spending? Am I spending because I need or I want? And that's always going to come into play. So some things to kind of help curb the emotional spending would be to limit temptations. The first step is to cut down the opportunity to make yourself vulnerable to the temptation. If your Waterloo is the mall, just visit once or twice a year, or don't go at all, but go online instead. If online shopping or TV shopping is a problem, find something to replace it, like a new activity to take up your time, like learning to play the guitar.
Then I got to buy a guitar.
I don't know
something.
And I gotta buy the best guitar. I can't just have some garbage guitar. Yeah.
Well, then there's color choices.
Sure. Well, and
accessorizing.
And I'm gonna want to play an acoustic one, so I'm gonna want those, and I'm gonna need different tuned ones. I mean, I'm gonna have to buy like 12 guitars.
Bad advice.
We kid. Yeah. I actually think it's really.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, okay. What your guest was going to talk about, because I was like, rotation. It's like, yeah, good luck. Every bit of social media is geared for no other reason than to push ads in your face.
Oh, we're getting there.
You know, yeah, I know. That's why I said, you know, you were getting right there, because like Instagram is every 4 posts is an ad. So and it's not, they don't even hide it. It is 100%. They're like, yep, that's what we do. Facebook has got a bunch of ads, you know, Twitter's got a bunch of ads
too, which is even worse.
Yep.
So opt out of advertisements. Be intentional in limiting your exposure to advertising. The less you know of what's available to buy, the less likely you'll feel the need to buy. Unsubscribe to mailing list of promotional companies on your favorite store so you won't have to receive their product catalog. Avoid internet ads while browsing. Download a program that blocks and prevents advertisements from appearing on your computer. All right. Be aware of your habits. The mere acknowledgments of the emotions that push you to spend is already taking a giant step. Understanding why you feel the need to buy when you're feeling a certain emotion is going to help you zero in on the root cause. So, breathe. Pause a moment and let it pass. Take a time out and breathe. If you can make it past the initial urge, the temptation won't be as great afterwards. Set a week or a month to determine whether you really need or want that thing. If you still want it after the time, save up for it first. Just don't go and spend like crazy for something just because you feel the need to get it now.
Yeah,
make a budget.
That's okay. Really good advice, and you know, the added benefit to the wait is that, I mean, unless the time you initially see it, it's like crazy discounted. If it's like normal price, you can also consider on sale at like 30% off or something like that. You know, that gives you the ability to potentially save a few dollars too. You know, so another good reason to try to walk away from it and come back later.
And the whole need versus want. You have to really make sure that you understand the motivation. Does not mean that you shouldn't buy things just because you want them. It needs to make sure that you understand of a need, or am I buying this out of a want? And if I'm buying it out of a want, what's that look like? Kind of have to make sure that you understand the whole picture, the big picture of everything.
Well, go ahead, Hannah.
I was going to say I think it's that buying for shopping.
Yeah.
You know, like when you need something, you typically just go out and buy it.
Mm-hmm.
Shopping is when you want something.
You know, it's funny though, because I have a real issue kind of with the whole want versus. We all feel need in a subjective manner. Because really what you need, I mean, you can argue like, you know, the hierarchy of needs. You could argue, do I need this to breathe or live or die?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like what level, you know, so you could really kind of break this down how you want. I think what you need to be able to do is kind of realize what you mean, you as in a general person, but you as in whoever you are. What are things you absolutely need? Because what Heno needs may not be something that I need, you know, and may not be something that happiness, survival, whatever you want to look at, right? And a perfect example, I don't need a car, you know, because I don't drive. So somebody else, that may be their primary, you know, maybe they live too far, or there's not good, you know, public transit or what, you know what I mean? So like they need a car. I don't. I can find other avenues. Like I said, certain things in your life. Now, then you can break that, like, do I need a brand new top of the line car but I think, you know, that's where you really can break down, you know, like, well, here's a sensible car for $10,000. this blah blah blah, it's in, but anyway.
Well, I think another way of kind of reframing it is need.
Yes.
Start with want.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Accept the fact that you want something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but do I need it?
Yeah.
And that's what I have to do when it comes to equipment and gear and stuff, because I want a lot of stuff.
Sure, yeah.
But then it does come down to, do I need it? Then I had to create my own standard of what need is on various things. Okay, right now, the convertible, it doesn't need a battery. I also happen to want a battery because I want to go out and drive the car. But the flat out matter is I need a battery.
Yeah.
And there's no I don't need to come up with a standard on a car repair thing that is required for me to do something else. But I do come up with a standard is can I accomplish my goals of what it is that I'm trying to do with what I already have?
Yes.
And
that's kind of what I was getting at too. Sorry, Jen.
So the whole need versus want, the ultimate goal is to put it in perspective.
Yeah.
Is you break
to gain perspective. Yes.
Yeah, it's to take a step back to say, okay, where does this lie in my hierarchy of needs versus wants? And it's small. And like what you were saying, Brian, is exactly right. It's a personal litmus that you have to take and determine where it falls on this timeline here of need versus want and the impact it holds for you. So it's really finding that balance and what's going to ultimately make you happier.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because real quick, is what I was getting at, especially like you were saying, is the concept of do not compare. Don't look to someone else to define your needs. Define your own needs. Because again, like I was saying, you guys need a vehicle because you need to get to work. You need the blah, blah, blah. I don't, because I don't drive. So a car is useless. There's no point to me having a car, but there are things that I probably do need on a regular basis that you don't, and I'm not like, I don't mean like medicines or something, but just certain things that it's like, hey, I can't get through the day easily without this. I can't do this without something else, like Heno said. And that's a great way of looking at it. And that really is the best way to define need. Accomplish the same or similar results with something I have, like acceptable results. Then you can look at it and go, will this elevate whatever? Like, if Heno's looking at a guitar, can he already play that sound with what he has or create it within his digital realm of things? If he cannot, then it's a different story. But if he can or get close to where he's satisfied with it, then, that's when you really go, okay, this probably fits more in want than need, that kind of stuff. So it was like literally to make sure it's like, just, don't compare your needs with others' needs, Yeah.
Now, make a budget. Work with your calendar to plot out special occasions where you might need to allow some money for. So really, just keeping an eye on things when you budget, it helps you to guys and put into perspective what's going to be coming in and going out at any given time. So that always is helpful.
Yeah, I think the budget thing, the biggest thing it shows you is where all the little monies go. All the money we would normally just like fritter away. Like I remember, Jen, you remember when the one time when we were like, where's all the money going? And then we started tracking everything and we were like, we spend a lot of money on fast food. Like we spend a lot of money. Yes, it's like, okay, this has got to stop, so that allowed us to look at our budget. Really, if we tone this down, then the stuff we want to, blow money on, now there's more money for that if we want to, so it gives you a good perspective to where you could go, oh, I could easily self whatever it is maybe I do want at this point.
Yeah.
So it's not as irresponsible, to where you're not running up a credit card instead. You're actually going, no, So sorry, Heno, go ahead.
So I like the term spending plan instead of budget.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, that's good.
Right, because there's intention in there. Budgets are really about what you think you might do.
Mm-hmm.
A budget is a tracking system.
Yes.
because then you see what you actually did. A spending plan has intention, and the one thing that's good about a spending plan is we can include ourselves in that spending plan. And that's one of the things with this need versus want that I found that I learned through 12-step programs, specifically having to do with money, is that if we don't take care of ourselves first, we have more likelihood of then having emotional reactions to other things happening in our lives, and then we spend reflexively, and then we go out of control. But if we have a spending plan, meaning that I'm going to spend, and this is a great thing where people just use cash and put it in envelopes.
Yeah.
There's my $100 and I'm going to buy clothes for myself.
Yeah.
Fun, whatever clothing, or movies. There's my $50 to go see a movie this week. And you may actually have a creditor that $50 should go to, but you are putting yourself first. I'm putting my desires, something I love to do, that if I might get a little bitter about it.
And that's kind of what I was getting at with need versus want a little bit too, because in my head, if you do nothing but like, oh, well, I have to put this into this and this and this, like, not taking care of yourself, it becomes like that is a need. Like, even if it doesn't have to be a lot, like you said, maybe it's just enough to go to a movie, but there are little needs like that we have to where you just need that little sense of something, a little treat for yourself or whatever, Yeah. And really quick, what you just said about the negative terming, that was actually, I think, one of the kind of hangups I have on the need versus want is need becomes, or take your pick, however you want to frame it. One of those terms in the argument becomes the negative term, and you resent it at a certain point. So,
yes,
and they shouldn't be. Neither are a negative term by any stretch.
You're doing a pro-con list.
They both need to exist.
Yeah.
They both need to exist in everyone's world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, That's why I think the spending plan is good, is because you set a limit.
Yeah,
and you are and so you're less likely to go over and beyond it because you have set an intention. And I think it's important to set, and that's where emotional spending gets out of control because we haven't set an intention.
That's true. Because
we haven't.
Back when years ago, I used to, I'd get my paycheck and I would immediately go, okay, here's for this, here's for this, here's for this. I didn't do the envelopes, but I would basically, in my head go, this is for this, this for this. And then go, okay, well, here's left essentially. And when I did that, I emotionally spend as much because I would go, well, I've only got $100, versus if you just hand me a paycheck and I don't do whether it's a base doing mental envelopes, and had I not done that, I would have been like, oh, well, here's, X dollars and let's go blow some money, if we're out and I'll get this and I'll get the, because you haven't sat down and go, okay, I need to plan for this, this, and this. And like you said, even if you, the other way, if you go every month, you go, okay, well, I'm going to set $50 for my, my movie. You can then choose to pull that money out of that envelope and do something else with it, you know? And because otherwise, like I said, I think you run into that system, just telling yourself no. And you're right. It's like when you hear the term spending plan, even though it is a budget, they're essentially the same functional tool kind of thing. But at the same time, that verbiage change makes such a difference because every time we hear diet.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Spending plan. If I go, here's your eating plan for today versus here's your diet for today, most people are probably going to take your eating plan concept a little easier than when it has been equated with, telling yourself no.
What we're talking about is what you do get.
Right.
Nice. Well, the last tip that they have is don't save your credit card information on websites or on your phone, folks.
That's really good advice. Yeah. Or
that's great advice. Because it's simple.
Think about it this way: when Amazon
Basically
enabled,
don't have PayPal.
Yeah, I was going to say when Amazon enabled the one-click shopping. Oh my God, I spent so much money on Amazon without really thinking about it.
The whole tap your finger, your thumbprint. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But don't set those things up, folks, because you need those few moments it takes to go get up off the couch, go find your credit card, come back, type the credit card information in.
You don't know your credit card number? Amateur. You're not a real emotional spender.
The best part about spending this way is the ritual. And part of that ritual is getting that credit card, sitting down, entering the number in.
Yeah.
There you go. But you need the time. So the extra 5 minutes can make a difference whether you in your decisions. Either way, confirming or non-confirming. Yeah. It can help you make decisions.
Yeah.
Honestly, when it comes to time and stuff like that, cards are great for this. And not having the ability to instantly buy definitely helps with this. Is that go ahead, load up. Don't check out until you've had a night's sleep.
Oh yeah, I've done it so many times over.
It works.
I have shopping carts filled at like 3 or 4 different stores. My favorite stores. I got a little shopping cart so filled with them.
Yep.
With stuff.
I'm looking at a tab on my computer right now that is GameStop, and it's got 4 things in it. So, and it's been there for a week now.
So we talked about why. We talked about things to do to help ward against this spending.
Yeah.
But we didn't really talk about the emotion. Well, we talked about what could cause it. We didn't talk really about whether you are an emotional spender. So here's some warning signs. There we go. That's the word I was looking for.
Are you Brian
here's
or
some
Henna?
Warning signs. You are seeking vacation. When you're under high stress, worried, restless, irritable, there's tendency to look for pleasure or satisfaction to escape these negative feelings. Shopping becomes a temporary way out of the situation. So, if you're feeling down, you're feeling sad, you're feeling stressed, and because it's like that rush that you get every single time, that's kind of a little bit of a warning to that. Maybe you're starting to get into the buying after the paycheck. Check yourself. When you get your paycheck, do you immediately get an urge to spend? Maybe get a sudden compulsion to go to the mall, to dine out, or to simply buy something for yourself or loved ones. What's really happening is you're trying to spend on material things to buy happiness. Justifying the purchase with, I deserve it. If you know that you've earned the right to splurge on something, it may be a sign that you need to give your self-esteem a checkup. Yes, you need to spend money to take care of yourself, but the impulse to spend haphazardly may have some emotional roots. Not use the things you bought. What usually happens is that you buy all sorts of things when you feel good while buying them. In reality, you don't even bother to seriously think if you actually need them now. You convince yourself that you need them later. Look around your house and your closet and you'll see items that you've never used or even things you've forgotten that you've owned. And shopping to decompress from the stress. People react to stress in different forms. Some turn to food, others to alcohol, others go out of town, others party the whole night, but emotional spenders go shopping. If this is your default reaction to stress and you find yourself in stressful situations, avoid the malls and online stores like a plague so that you can look for a healthier alternative to cope with your stress. So there you go, folks. There's some little tips and tidbits in emotional spending.
That stuff's really helpful because, you know, I know this is definitely something I've struggled with for years and years. So,
me too.
Yeah, because there's just something about when you're kind of down or whatever. There's just something nice about like, I'm gonna go buy something, you know. And I you know, I will say this: I've never been one of the ones where I'm just like, ooh, let's just, you know, we're in a store and I'll just buy. I've been wanting. You know, another level of emotional spending to where you don't even care what you buy. You just need to buy, you know, type of a thing.
This is true.
But, you know, like I said,
some people, it's about the
actual item itself.
Right. Where for me, it was both. Like, I want the process, but I also want to get something that I really have been wanting or whatever, you know. So, yeah.
Something that they didn't touch on really, which is boredom.
Yeah.
Emotional spending hot button. At least in my life it is. Because I'll get bored and so I start shopping. Now, this is when I load my carts and I don't actually check out. Mm-hmm. But I'm on it for a while. But I'll get bored and I'll do that. Or lottery, which is another that when I get bored, I go online and play some of the lottery games.
That's actually an element of emotional spending that most of this stuff doesn't talk about, but boy, oh boy, because, okay, so you win a little bit, right? What are you reacting on from that point forward? You're certainly not reacting on logic.
Nope, absolutely not.
You know, if you win a little,
the dragon more than once.
Yep, people will be like, "Oh, I'm due," or "I'm so close," or "I'm this," or that, and it's all emotional spending. You know, because a lot of people, then there's obviously the facet of people with the lottery who are playing in the hopes of, you know, they're going to hit that big jackpot, and they will keep doing it week after week after week for whatever reason it is, and it ends up becoming, and really, like any sort of gambling, you immediately many times right into distorted thinking, which feeds the system. It feeds that beast, because that's exactly what they want you to do, is be emotional. They don't want you to go, hey, I walked in with $100 on the, you know, after playing for a little bit, I'm up $100. I'm going to leave. You know, they want you to go, this is found money. I'm going to just keep, you know, let it ride. And, you know, until you're like, oh, wow, I'm broke. You know, and if you do look at it and go, you know, came in with $100, I'm up $100 on top of that. I'm only going to gamble with that $100 now. You know, they don't want you doing that. They want you to keep playing that whole $200 bankroll, you know, until you're down to zero. So there is a whole elemental or emotional element to those things. Again, you know, because you think you're on a hot streak or whatever. And the emotion clouds your judgment. And, you know, of course, again, that is what feeds the casino/lottery beast. So that's another area. Definitely be really careful. And I know, you know, gambling's its whole other thing, because it is an element of emotional spending that I don't think most people think emotional spending. They really think about, I went to the mall and I bought, you know, new shirts or whatever. I went and bought a bunch of video games.
Another aspect that they don't really touch on, going out to eat. Is also a really big hot button for a lot of people. Going out and getting fancy dinners, which is great. But
you mentioned, I was going to say, you mentioned earlier in the things, one of the reasons people do these things is for validation / you know, stuff like that, to where people want to be seen in some of the high-end places. You know, they want what they've had, or to be able to use it as a status thing. Like, oh, we went to McFancy's the other night and had, you know, a ridiculous steak dinner and blah, 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 you know. So, again, right into that category. But you're right. Most people would go, well, we needed to eat. You know, it's like, yeah, but did you need to spend $500 on dinner?
When a lot of the things that you started with in the beginning is like, are you trying to impress somebody? You know, are you getting that bottle of wine because you want the person you're with you to think that you're, you know, that you can afford that bottle of wine, or that you know something, or, you know, that ultimately there's a lot of tips and tricks, but in the end, this is an inside job.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I'm filling a hole inside of me. And the real solution is getting into the job. That's the real solution. Everything else is just kind of a tip or a trick to help you. I had one time where, you know, after I got sober, where I had the moment where I was lying in bed and I'm just surfing through whatever it is, and I stopped and I'm like, I'm emotionally doing this right in therapy. It hit me so clearly that I was sitting there because I just felt a little off. And I think it was like the third pair of sunglasses that expensive stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like item number 3 where I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah. I've done that too, to where like you'll be buying stuff. And like you said, the worst to me is when I catch myself doing it and going, well, I'm only spending $20. you know, or something to that effect. Like you said, you're getting some cheap sunglasses, you're buying a bag of candy, you know what I mean? Like it's almost like you just walked into a gas station and they were like, okay, you have $20, go, you know?
Yeah,
exactly. And so the ultimately it was something inside of me. And I had to look at that. I had to look at what it is. It ultimately comes down to self-esteem. It's self-something. It could be, you know, self-centered pride. It could be self-centered, you know, or a lack of self-esteem, or it, you know, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's still, you gotta look, you know, the spending. This is one of those cases where you sit there and you go, the emotional spending is a symptom.
Yeah.
The drinking's a symptom. The gambling's a symptom of something deeper.
Right.
And so if you were actually finding yourself in financial problems because of this, then it might be time to go actually seek some professional help.
Yeah. Right. And you've mentioned
there
on here, Henno, about going to like financial groups, like recovery groups and stuff, essentially for finances. I forgot what you call them. Like what are the one you went to? What was that called?
It was Debtors Anonymous.
Okay, there you go. That's what I was looking for.
Programs.
Thank you.
One's Anonymous, and one of them has to do with more of a financial thing, and the other one deals a lot with self-worth. Because Under Earners Anonymous also deals with, you know, taking jobs because you just don't feel you're worth it.
Oh wow, yeah, that's,
you know, so
wow.
It has. And I'll tell you what, if you go to either, or just even look it up online, they have a preamble usually, and they have, like, you know, 12 steps or 30 steps or, you know, 30 questions or whatever it is. Both of them, I can identify with both, but there was one I with checking it out, because some people they both deal with money, but it's just from a different perspective.
Yeah.
You know, the Under Earners has to do a lot with value and how you value yourself. And it focuses more on the low self-esteem, whereas the, you know, and you know, Debtors Anonymous also goes into that, but it is more towards the other side. It's like you go buy stuff because you love the feeling of talking to a salesperson.
Oh wow.
And feeling like you're part of it, you know, like you go in there and you talk the stereo equipment or talk about the dresses with that.
Right.
And it's more about the social aspect, and it's the ritual of it more than whether it's the buying.
Right. Wow. That's a whole different.
Fascinating.
Yeah. I was going to say that does sound interesting to read, or, I mean, you know,
they're two different levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's funny. The article doesn't mention, you know, the tip that I found works the best for stopping emotional spending, which is being flat broke. So, like, my credit's so bad I can't get credit, and I don't have any money, so that just stops my emotion there. Boom, done.
Yeah.
For when I get money again, then it goes right back to normal.
I get you, man.
I will say, though, that having been through the financial issues and stuff I've been in over the years, you know, it really has helped, though. So when I do have money now, I tend to really not want to immediately. I do, like, everything in me is like buy, you know, but the logical part of my brain is like, I have this $100 again anytime soon. So make sure is things that either you do really need or are going to really use, not just going to sit in a, you know, a cupboard or something like that for, you know, years. You know, we talked about Henno, like you know, I used you as an example with, like, you know, good kind of stuff or whatever, but it's like me and my art supplies, the same thing. I bought, and it was like, I have so much unused stuff in my, you know, cabinet over here, you know, so, and I've gotten to where I'm so much better about that. I don't just do that anymore. Even if I had a bunch of money, I don't think I would do that anymore. You know, and anyone knows I love Funko Pops. If I have money, I don't immediately buy like 20 of them. Like, generally, if I buy any, I'll buy like one, you know, or a couple, something like that. And even then, I'm usually like, I got to find them as cheap as I can, because I want to try to keep as much of my money as I can, you know, so. Not that that's any better, because, you know, if you find them at $5, I might go, well, I was going to spend 20, so I guess I'll get 4. You know, like I'm a little kid that someone, like, remember back when we had the shop, and a little kid would come in with a $20 bill, and basically the little kid will walk up to you and go, I want to spend all of this, you know, and whereas their parent might be like, here's $20, thinking you don't have to spend all of it, but the kid is like, I have $20, I'm going to spend all of this because, you know, I don't know if I'll get $20 again, basically, you know, so they're going to get every cent out of that they can, you know, every bit. So, you know, it's funny how as adults, we sometimes can't stop being that little kid with the 20, you know?
This is true. Well, guys, I think we're good. You good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, folks. Well, we covered a lot of ground tonight on this episode. So if you'd like to continue the conversation, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach us at thecrazylifepodcast.weebly.com is our website. Thecrazylifepodcast@outlook.com is our email address. You can reach me direct at Twitter at WhitskeyDitz, WHIDITZ. If you would like to hear more from me, you can also hear me on Shake the Sheets. It's a pop culture talk podcast, and you can find that at shakethesheets.com. And you, Heno, how can they reach you?
You can find me on Twitter at Ida Heno. Find me on Facebook, Heno Hider, and also Facebook Messenger. And coming up we did Clueless on Moving the Needle podcast, or Clue last week.
Yeah.
We're doing Clueless this week. So next week, yes, we did From Clue to Clueless.
That is one of my favorite movies. I love Clueless. I quote it on a regular basis.
It was a fun podcast to do because I wasn't sure where we were going to fall on it.
That's
it was great. It was really fun to do.
This is one of my favorite things about that podcast now, about Moving the Needle, is when you tell me what you're going to cover. In my head, I do the, okay, let's see if I can figure out who's going to land where on the spectrum. Then we're going to, you know, and then see how right I am about it. So,
yeah.
Because, you know, there's definitely surprises. There's times where I'm like, oh, so-and-so's going to this, and like really? So, yeah. You can find me on Twitter you can also find me, you can find my other podcast at salty_language or at saltylanguage.com. That show is not safe for work, so be careful, please. And you can find at The Crazy Life Pod, where I post when new episodes go up. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Crazy Life Podcast. And pretty much anywhere you can find podcast. If you don't already, please rate, review, and subscribe. We're on Spotify, so if you're listening, or if you use Spotify frequently, you can find us there as well. We are part of the Tangent Bound Network, and I am sad to say we're no longer part of the because the Dangerous. So, wah wah.
Aww.
Yeah. So it was a nice bit on the new Salty Language where Tony and I talk about how we've basically outlived another network, and how basically we are the killers of networks now. Because I think that's the fourth or fifth network that's folded. So clearly it's us. We're the commandants. So, but anyway, I do want to say, like I said in Salty Language, I want to say it on here too. Thank you to Michael for running that network and putting in the work that he did, because he's really put in a lot more work than a lot of networks that I've seen out there. So, I appreciate what he did and the time he put into it and everything, especially when you're doing this stuff for free. I definitely appreciate that. So, and best luck to him. But go check out, because Michael writes comic books, and I believe he does some game stuff too. So, go check that out, and go support him and check out his website. So, yeah. And of course, as we've talked through this things here with spending and emotion and all this kind of stuff. So, if you need some help in this department, there are groups out there, like Heno said, Debtors Anonymous and Under Earners Anonymous. I'll try to find links to those. I'll throw them in the show notes. And I'm sure there's other groups and such like that out there. I'll bet just about every community center / church is some sort of a money group, that meets occasionally, or somewhere near you, there's probably something. In the event that, of course, like if you need gambling or something like that, of course, check out, there's Gamblers Anonymous and whatever as well. So please reach out for help if you need it. You're not alone. There's a ton of people out there dealing with the same things. So please just reach out and, do your, I have one last thing I want to talk about before I get to the last bit here, which is, I've been bored on Facebook, and they've been answering these like survey things. And I just want to make sure that everybody kind of keeps in mind that most of these questions, what was your first pet? What was your first boyfriend, girlfriend? What was your password last week? These are all very common questions that hackers use to try to find out what your password is or maybe used to be. So be careful throwing that info out there. And also, like the senior picture one that's going around right now, I just saw, was it NPR or somebody posted a thing that was like, yeah, maybe quit doing that, because when they realize what year you graduated and what school, they can use that information. And again, a lot of times, year you graduated and your name.
They're challenge questions.
They're challenge questions. Yes. Yeah. So please be really careful with these and really strongly consider whether or not you really want to fill these out, especially if your profile's public. But either way, I would probably just avoid those. It's probably for the best. You do you though, but I'm going to just not be posting those. And this isn't like conspiracy paranoid type thing. This is a legitimate thing that I've seen various news outlets that are like, hey, maybe stop this. You're making their job easier. So, and then of course, in these, times, please try to exercise kindness wherever you can. Try to thank the people who are doing things for you. Even if it's something that they did during, normal times or whatever, just make sure they know they're appreciated. A lot of these people are out there doing terrible, just not great jobs, but they're doing that in the face of dying. So, let's just try to be a little nicer to people at the grocery stores, the pharmacies, delivery people, and if you got the extra, maybe throw a little tip to the people delivering. Don't be one of those people who doesn't tip. Unless you absolutely can't. I want to say that again. I don't want anyone thinking I'm being insensitive to people who can't afford it or shut-ins or whatever. But if you can help, if you can throw a little extra their way, because the companies that are doing these works for jerks. So there you go.
All right. With that, everybody go out there and have the best possibly can have. And with that, I guess that's all I gotta say. So go out there, wiggle your toes, enjoy your week. Bye.